Welcome to the Shuffle Curious podcast. I'm your host, Patty Lynch. Have you ever seen an amazing shuffler at a show or festival and wondered, how did they get started? How did they develop their skills? And who are they beyond the dance floor? Well, that's exactly what we're exploring in the show. We'll dive into the personal experiences of the dancers that make up our beloved community. We'll be learning more about who they are and what makes this dance so special to them. So, with that, let's jump into the show and let's get curious together. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 13 of the Shuffle Curious podcast. And in this episode, I had the pleasure of speaking with a very special guest to start off the first ever dance crew series within Shuffle Curious, and that is with the SideShowShufflers. And who better to kick this off than the crew leader, Daniel Burgess. And some of you guys may know I'm a part of SideShowShufflers as well. So it was an absolute honor speaking to Daniel. He flew in from California to spend the weekend with myself and my local community here, the Maui Shufflers. And we all just had an amazing time connecting and getting to know each other better. He ran us through his exposure to shuffling when we spoke and the journey that followed. And he also expressed that it wasn't all just rainbows and sunshine throughout. There was quite some turbulence there, and it actually led him to start the crew. So in the second half of our conversation, he walked us through the origins of Sideshow and how much it's grown thus far, and just the values, beliefs, the mission statement behind Sideshow. It was really cool to hear from the founder. And it was funny. Me and Daniel, we actually had a little bit of a rocky start when we had our first introduction to one another. And we'll tell that story in the podcast. But, ever since joining Sideshow and, just having or being under Daniel's wing, he's been a complete advocate towards me, especially towards the show. And he's been a mentor. He has been an example of what good leadership looks like in the shuffle community. So I'm really excited for you guys to hear this one. I had a lot of fun speaking with Daniel. So without further ado, this is my conversation with my friend and crew leader, Daniel Burgess. Daniel, what's up, man?
My brother. How are you?
I'm good.
Thanks for having me on.
Dude, of course. And thank you for coming to Denver. Like this was really special, because I talked to you a little bit about the podcast initially. I think it was when maybe it was just about to release the first four episodes, and I was just, chatting with you.
You're putting the feelers out there.
Yeah, 100%. Just, because I wanted to get a little bit of awareness out there and, maybe some blind faith or support towards it. And I thought, who better than, my crew leader and then also my crew to follow that as well. And dude, you've been so supportive, like from the get-go. And
I appreciate that.
And like this trip for you is very much a testament to that. You decided to. It's funny. I was thinking like, okay, what's the best way to get Daniel on? Like, I'm gonna have to probably go to him. Like, we're probably gonna have to like schedule some travel.
I know you
and whatnot.
kept saying like, hey, like I want to make this easier for you, and I was like, but I want to come to Denver.
Mm-hmm. And once that was known, I was like, oh, word?
Yeah.
So then, you came back to me and was like, hey, like, I really want to do this. Like, I want to come travel.
Yeah.
And, this episode will be the start of the Sideshow Shufflers series for the Shuffle Curious podcast. And like, it's so awesome that you're the first one to like kick it off on like where I am, you know what I mean? In Denver, like my home turf.
Yeah.
And dude, it just shows like what kind of leader you are in this community, in our crew, in the shuffle community in general, that you're willing to go out of your way to go ahead and do this. Like you're not waiting for people to come to you. Like, and it really means a lot, man, because
no worries.
It's just that investment and that effort that like I see, and it makes me really respect you as a leader. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Of course. So, and we have a lot of festivities for you coming up this weekend.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Yep. Tomorrow we have the Regenerate Festival. which will be a lot of fun. And if you decide to come out afterwards, we have a couple other,
Come on now, you know I'm with you.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Some of the homies are like, yeah, I think I'm going home after the festival. So
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see
yeah,
we'll see how it
self-assess.
goes.
And then we have the Mile High Shufflers meetup on Sunday as
Yeah.
well, which will be a lot of fun because whoever, I haven't been able to introduce you to, at Regenerate, we can go ahead and do that there. And
Yeah,
those
like
are always a vibe.
like I was telling you, like Denver's another hub of great people, great shufflers that I haven't been to yet. So like I got a bucket list of hubs that I'm Vegas and Hawaii and
Yeah.
LA and San Diego, and this was next on the list. So I'm happy I'm here.
Perfect. And yeah, you're coming at a good weekend. And like I said, yeah, being on the show, it's going to be a really good talk. But as for how we got to know each other, so I know that Sideshow had their opening for tryouts. Yeah. And that
I think
was
it was around August.
Yeah, August, like late August, I think. And I heard some good things about, Sideshow. And I know that like Austin was a part of it. Like he's a Denverite.
Oz
here.
Flows.
Yep. So I wanted to try out, I wanted to give it my best shot. And I was just getting back from a little bit of travel. So I was like, you know what? Like I've developed, over my travels, just seeing other styles. I was in Colombia for a little bit.
Yeah.
I've done my first battle and things like that. I was like, I want to take my shuffle career to like the next level. I want to be a part of a crew. I want to feel accountable to people and kind of like that obligation. So tried out. And, next thing I know, I didn't think I would, but I got in, and it was really cool for you to reach out to me personally and like, congratulate me, like sending me all the gear for it as well. Also like giving me credits and kudos for making my showcase video, like getting into the crew. So I'd already known that, I had a lot of people who were excited for me to be into the crew.
Before you tried out, like what was your like what did you hear so far about Sideshow? Like what was it that really made you, other than wanting to be in a crew, to make you want to try out?
It was renowned, you know what I mean? Like I would see like the Sideshow triangle, and I knew that it wasn't just like a closet crew or anything like that. You guys were actually out there.
Yeah.
And I remember I went to Cross 2021 in the spring, and I'd seen a bunch of people.
21, I think I was there, baby.
Were you?
I think so.
You might have been one of the people who I saw.
Probably.
Like with the
when you go to so many events, they all blend in together. You know what I mean? Especially when you go to the same one multiple times in a row. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So and it's funny. I think we will talk about this a little bit, but like the emblem to me, at least, is intimidating. You know what I mean? It has like that intimidation factor where it's like, oh, like I don't know. There's something about it where it's like, okay, these guys mean business or something like that, or it's like it's a tight knit crew.
It's not a flower.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's got jagged edges and things like that. So I saw other shufflers with this on, and then all grooving together, and they were really good. So I knew that there was proficiency and competency involved with the crew as well. So, I looked at that for sure. But, I was also getting hearsay about like the friendly nature of it and the inclusivity of it. Even if you're not a member or whatever, it's like you can dance with us, like that kind of vibe. So I was getting all these little data points.
Yeah.
Even though and I'm still not totally spun up on all the history and things of that nature. But like I had enough to know that, okay, this is something that I wanted to try out for.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was kind of my my lead up to the tryout.
Because I always get curious, what I mean? Like how people think, you know what I mean? Because like it's been 8 years now I've been doing this. So like to get new perspectives on how people view Sideshow has always been interesting for me. Because like, myself and a lot of we work so hard to have the reputation that we have, to earn the respect in the community. So it's always good to get some feedback.
Yeah, of course. And like from different tiers of members, right? You know what I mean? Because you guys have more senior individuals in the crew, like day ones, and then people along the way, and then like I'm the freshest batch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like we're all viewing it kind of through a different lens.
Exactly.
So it must be kind of cool for you to like, dissect each of those and to know where everyone's coming from and what their representation is of Sideshow and what it means to them. But so I had a couple data points with you initially, just like, kind of online. We had never met in person, but it wasn't until Dream State that I met you. And I won't say that was like the most like huggy, touchy-feely type of thing. We had a little bit of like a rough patch, and I think it was kind of from me, like my own state of mind and the sensitivities that sometimes come out when I'm in those environments. But I'll kind of tell a little bit of the story. But so Sideshow was hosting a meetup at Dream State, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was day one. It was Brian Kearney. Yeah. And it was in the indoor stage.
Yeah, the Vision stage.
Yeah, Vision stage, which had great floors. I think it was a good pick.
That's why we had it.
Yeah, it was a good pick for a meetup. Literally,
because San Bernardino, those like out in like main stage area, the cement is literally coming apart. Like I
especially that one stage, the one stage like kind of in the middle, at like this kind of like the smaller acts or whatever.
Like I see people shuffling, I'm like, how are you doing that? Yeah. Like I'm about to break my ankle right now. But like obviously Brian Kearney is amazing, and then the floors are just pristine for shuffling, so it's like a no-brainer. So definitely,
it was definitely a good call, and I was super excited for that meetup for sure. But what we didn't anticipate was the crowd surge to that set. Like the crowd surge was crazy because since it was an indoor set, they actually created kind of like a barrier for
like it was a little maze. To even get in, you had to wait in line.
Yep. And I remember going to that meetup or going to that stage rather, and seeing the craziness that was happening. And I had a couple buddies with me, and we all kind of looked at each other like, ooh, like that's going to be 30 minutes in line.
This is a mission right now.
Yeah, exactly. So we decided to like kind of break off, do our own thing, and then revisit it. And by that time, the line had gone down a little bit.
Yeah.
So we made our way in, and then, but when we got in there, we were all feeling a little bit claustrophobic. I think like the Sideshow meet was also feeling a little bit. It was hot. There were a lot of people. We were packed like sardines.
Yeah.
And there was kind of like a group consensus that happened with the buddies that I was with, and then also I kind of just wanted to be out in open air. And so, shame on me. I probably should have gave some high fives, maybe explain like the situation at that time. But I did not.
Right.
And so later on, I forget what set we were at. Do you know what set we finally did, meet up and we saw each other? It was at main stage for sure.
Remember I sent you those videos the other day of you and Gomez dancing? Was it in the far right stage?
No, so like that was
in the beginning before the meetup, I think.
Yeah. I forget what set we were at, but it was banging music.
Yeah.
And so we had met, and we had finally, gotten that FaceTime with each other. And I was starting to explain my scenario, and along the lines of, I forget exactly what you said, but I think it was like, no excuse or whatever. It was like the football coach type of mentality, like no excuse, get back in there, like do your job, like that sort of thing. And I got a little sensitive about it, because I didn't know you well, and I have discovered your intentions around all of this. So, and if I had known those intentions before, I probably wouldn't have had the response that I had. But basically, it did hurt my feelings, and I talked to a couple of the Sideshow Shufflers about it, and my homies, and it got back to you, and I think you knew that I was upset, and this is where I started to get another representation of you. The next day when I saw you, and we had that moment from before. And I think you had listened to some of the members kind of talk about how I was feeling. Dude, you were so good at just like checking up on me, making sure I was good.
What's funny is that I didn't hear about that till after Dream State.
Oh, really? Oh, dude, I thought it was okay. No. I thought it was like that night or something.
No. They didn't say anything to me until at the studio after.
Got it.
So what you're describing now about the day 2 where I came and incurred.
Yeah.
What you're about to say. I did that before I even knew you were upset.
Understood. That makes it even better, dude. Because
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I feel even better now.
Yeah. Because you made me feel at home at SideShow. Like I felt like a slight disconnection from that. And when you kind of did that on day 2, and it was multiple times, it was outside, it was an indoor stage. There was one time that you were saying before we got on the interview that you kind of snuck up on me. And that was another case where you were just trying to, and the thing is, it wasn't just me. I was seeing you do it to all the other sideshow shufflers as well. Like you were making your rounds. You know what I mean?
I do my rave dad stuff. You know what I mean?
Yep. You got water. You feel good. You all right?
Yeah.
You got to step outside. That sort of thing.
Because there's a lot of things that go on. Like there's so many different personalities in the crew. So many different things going on in their lives. I like to. That is my opportunity to kind of have that one-on-one time, check in with them, see how 100%. You're doing, see how you're feeling. Do you need anything type stuff,
Yeah, definitely, man. And so like after that day 2, I felt way more at ease with my place.
Let me just put it this way. If you had came out to me like, hey, dude, like someone shot my car tires out and like a gorilla tried to wrestle me, I would have looked at you and be like, no excuses, bro. You got to be there.
Yeah.
Got you know what I mean? It's just like, obviously you never had an interaction with me before. You don't know my sarcasm.
Yep.
You don't know me as a person.
Communication
style.
You know
what I mean? Like any coach or leader of anything is going to kind of poke at you a little bit, even though they understand.
Yeah.
And like a big thing for me is like with those meetups is like, I love to get group pictures with with the whole thing. 'Cause we're creating memories. You know what I mean? Like I want to be able to look back on this like 10, 15 years from now and be like, oh, that was Dream State. Because there's not every day you get a crew like Sideshow all under one roof. You know what I mean? Because like there's some crews that are more local, but us, we're like kind of spread out everywhere.
We're a national crew.
So if we have like the opportunity, obviously I'm going to want all of you to be there. But like in no means was I upset or anything, but I was, I'm going to, poke at you a little bit, of course.
Yeah. And also, dude, like, the environment is not conducive to proper communication either. Like music blasting, like
we're all having fun.
Yeah, we're all having fun.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And social cues might get lost on one another. So I totally get it, after the fact. So but yeah, a fun way of meeting each other. But this after that, and just being in the group chat, with Sideshow and all the things that we're doing with like the charitable events and then like the showcases and things like that. Like I love being a part of the crew. It's been quite the pleasure, and just seeing your role as a leader and taking pages from your book as to how like I want to be a leader, not in Shuffle Curious, how I want to be a leader with Sideshow, how I want to be a leader with Mile High Shufflers,
right.
Like. It's been
all
very
aspects
good.
Of life.
Yeah, really. I mean, it can be applied to all aspects of life. So it's been good to get those influences. You know what I mean? Just from this other crew.
Right.
So it's really been a pleasure. But so that's kind of how we met in a nutshell. But I kind of want to throw it over to you and talk a little bit about your background. So if you could just describe to the audience, like where are you from? How long have you been shuffling for? And how were you as a kid?
Oh, God. So I was born and raised in Napa Valley, wine country. It's a small town, small town vibes. My dad's a firefighter. My brother's a firefighter. My mom's a nurse. Like we're very much immersed into our community. I was just like an athletic kid. Growing up, I was like picked on us a lot as a kid, and I didn't really start to like get into athletics until I got to a point where I was like, all right, like I got to start working out. Like I'm tired of getting bullied all the time.
Were you tall when you were when you were a kid? Because like you're 6'3" right now.
I'm 6'3", yeah, but I guess I was always on the taller side. But I don't think I started to like really grow until like maybe freshman, sophomore year of high school.
Okay.
Because that's when I really started hitting the weights. Like I was, like a loser, I guess you could say, or whatever. But I didn't start getting popular till my sophomore year of high school when I started working out. And I was like, okay, like this is my outlet. And then I got into sports. I played football and baseball. But yeah, like I was telling you earlier, like my childhood was very much like Friday Night Lights vibes, like small town, like we got to win the championship. You know, I was the popular jock of the high school, dating like a high school cheerleader. Like, you know what I mean? Like the captain of the cheerleading squad.
Yeah.
But to start with like the whole shuffling and the EDM, I guess we can start with like how I got into EDM. And I got into EDM, believe it or not, through two outlets, anime and Dance Dance Revolution. So, you know, like the Dance Dance Revolution.
Yeah, of course.
So like I would go to like Scandia and play that thing. And then I would look up the songs that were on the playlist and download them on LimeWire. I don't know if you remember.
No, of course.
Like middle school, like freshman year of high school.
It would insert so many viruses onto your computer. Like your parents would be pissed.
Exactly. So I would like get those songs and like, you know, I always had an ear for EDM. And then anime, I'm like a closet weeb. I watch anime almost every day. And then like a lot of the background music and stuff like that. They have anime introduction, techno songs and stuff like that.
Got it, yeah.
And then let's see. Yeah, so what was it?
Oh, yeah. So you kind of mentioned how you were as a kid, adolescence or whatever. You described where you were from. How long have you been shuffling for?
Okay, so the whole shuffling thing didn't come to fruition until like 2014. So I was a personal trainer in Sacramento for like 5 years. And sorry, I'm losing my train of thought.
Yeah. No, you're good. Send it.
My bad.
Train of thought, or excuse me, personal trainer. You started in 2014. I guess like what was ground zero for it? Like, did you see it somewhere and you got like super inspired by someone doing it? You see like a video?
I worked in the clubs. I was always into EDM, and then I had just graduated from Sac State. So I was kind of like in limbo, like with my next job. So I was like bouncing at the club that I was telling you about earlier. And I'd never seen Melbourne shuffling before. So like I'm working the front door of this club and I look to my right and there's like a big old circle of people and I thought it was a fight. And I'm like, oh, like code blue on my little microphone. I run over there and I get into it and it's a shuffle circle. And I was like, what the heck? And I'm looking at this kid and he's like killing it. Like, I don't think he was doing a running. I was like I think he was maybe even shaping.
Okay.
But he was like doing a T-step and stuff like that to the music. And I was like, whoa, what the hell is that? And like everyone kind of looked at me because I'm the big old bouncer. I thought I was going to break it up. And I was like, no, keep going. Like, that's sick. So he keeps going. And then I just was like, my mind was blown. I was like, there's like a way that you can express yourself to this music other than just doing this. Because up until that point, like I had been to a few raves, but I didn't see any shufflers. I didn't like I wasn't looking for them. I didn't know it existed. I was just kind of like that bro dude that was just like, doing the two-step thing. Like I had no idea. But then once that had happened, it just kind of just sparked this new inspiration in me. And then at work at the gym, I'm like, hey, do you know what this is? And then it kind of just we do this, we throw this events. Because when you work at a gym, you meet a lot of different people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, we host these like underground events here in Sacramento because that's where I was living at the time. And then a big influence for me in the whole shuffling was the underground like house music scene in Sacramento. So like I had met one of my best friends, Jason Green, and his wife, Nye. They're like housers, like old school, like they love house music. And I was going to all these EDM events that like cost like $200, like all mainstream stuff. They're like, dude, why are you like going to these? Like come to the underground, like come to like the real stuff.
Yeah.
And I was scared. I didn't even know like what underground, like what is this underground stuff?
Yeah.
And I had been practicing for like 3 months since that event at the club of me watching that guy shuffle for the first time. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll come. So they finally had brought me to an underground. And then that's when I really started to see like a different side to this scene. You know what I mean? Because you know what I mean? What you've been in the scene for a while, you have like the mainstream stuff. And then you have like the real like the dark side of everything. Like, you know, where the hell am I type stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We're in a irrigation tunnel. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Right. And then, and there I saw a lot of house dancing and I saw a lot of shuffling.
Mm.
And it just, from there, it was just like, an obsession.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't get enough of it.
You knew you wanted to be a part of it in a big way. Just a quick question on that. Those like 3 months between, you know, seeing that display in the club, and then, you know, obviously you're doing your due diligence about it, asking people about it in the gym. What was your way of practicing? Like, were you looking at like YouTube videos? Did you find a shuffler at that time that kind of like handheld you? Like, how were you going about those first 3 months to become, you know, somewhat proficient?
No, that's a good question. So like, there's always those classic old like 2009 YouTube videos of like Moon Boy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or what's the girl and the guy, Jake and Rash, or what's the name? Like the it's like a choreographed Melbourne shuffle of a boy and a guy.
Are they from Australia?
Yeah, you know what I mean.
I know people have come on and have been educating me on like a lot of the OGs.
Right, and then you have like the old school like hard style stuff where they're like using up a bunch of room and they have the fat pants on and stuff like that. Yep. So YouTube was definitely like a good like
reference point for you. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. So it was like you were kind of just trying to emulate those videos. Any tutorials in there or anything like that?
You know, I used to do a lot of Moss. Like there was a lot of Moss tutorials on YouTube at that time. And my style's not so much geared toward that as much anymore, but that was like what I started with. Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Like those big, long, and then you're turning, and then like, you know what I mean? The big jumps. Cause like I'm a taller guy. So like I use up a lot of room. And they're like a big combo moves when you're doing that. And I thought it like looked good with my body, you know?
Got it. Well, can we just backpedal a little bit? Was there anything happening in your life at this time that almost was priming you for a shuffle journey, or was making it more appealing and alluring? Like what? Because I see it a lot, or I hear from guests a lot that like something usually happened. Like maybe they identify with a sport and like that was their life for the longest time. And now they're looking for something that has, you know, similar athleticism to it, or, you know, they're falling in love with a music genre or things like that. Was there anything, a life before shuffling, that was kind of bringing you to your shuffle journey?
Yeah, definitely. So everyone's got to have something, whether that something is bowling, shuffling, playing football, quilting, you know what I mean? And as we go through the different phases of our life, that something changes. So like for me, it was football. And then, you know, I had a hamstring tear. You know, I didn't make it to the NFL or whatever. Because I was playing Division I football at New Mexico State University and at Sacramento State where I graduated. And then, you know, my mentality changed like from football to bodybuilding. So I did bodybuilding competitions and I was personal training at the time. And then I had a realization that like, you know, I don't need to be 300 pounds and like, you know what I mean?
Shit brick house.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just like you grow up and then your ego and like, you know, I don't really care about being big anymore. And like, but when you have that like go mentality, like I needed to find my next outlet and it just so happened to be shuffling. So I guess that's the transition, like the football, the bodybuilding, and then into the shuffling.
Understood. Yeah. Understood. So, okay. So you found like this underground house music scene at like the 3-month mark. What did that, because you started SideShowShufflers in 2015, correct? So this was in 2014. That's that's a pretty quick, transition into a crew.
It was so quick. Yeah. So like the 3 months of like watching YouTube videos and then, going to the underground and practicing where I was like, I was, you know, that whole underground house thing was like very positive and very welcoming. So I was like, you know, babied in a sense of like, I was always in an environment that was like very welcoming, very loving, inclusive. I wasn't scared to dance. Like I was just like there and I was home. Like in Sacramento, there was this place called Barfly where we would go dance every weekend. And that was just like my stomping grounds for like an entire year. And then it got to a point where I was like, okay, I feel like I'm ready to go to a big event as a shuffler. So like before I wasn't going to shuffle or whatever. At this point during that time, I'm like following all these crews. I'm like,
getting more involved.
Getting more involved, like seeing like who's who, like what crew's what, like who's going to have a meetup at what event, you know? And then, so I think that's like the 6 month mark is when I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to do this.
Got it.
And then it was, I had went to Hard Summer 2015, I think. And I had went up, I don't remember, honestly, it's been so long, but I don't remember what cruise it was specifically.
Who the people were.
Yeah, it was just a meetup.
Yeah.
And I was like idolizing these people. So it's like going through my life when I played football, like I had different people that I idolized that I wanted to be like because I wanted to play football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Peyton Manning, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. And then with bodybuilding, there's certain bodybuilders I wanted that I emulated. And then now that my next thing is shuffling, I had certain shufflers that I emulated. Like
naturally.
You know what I mean? Like I look up, like I watch their videos every day, etc. So I go to the meetup and I'm just like dancing my heart out. You know what I mean? Like I was like so excited to be there. And then I'm like looking around and I get that vibe like, oh, who's this guy? Like,
okay.
Like kind of talking smack, like get out of our circle. Like, why are you dancing with us? And like, you know what I mean? Like that was like a stab in the heart because I always use this as example. Like if you had an opportunity, you said you like wrestling, right? So like imagine you had an opportunity to go wrestle with the best wrestler in the world. And he looked at you and was like, bro, get out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're already in an environment where your emotions are high, like you're having fun. You know what I mean? You might take things, you know what I mean? So it's like.
Perhaps you had an expectation as to how they were going to.
Yeah. Behave. And it was just like, damn, like it left such a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, I never wanted to feel like that again. And I never wanted other people to feel like that. So like I had left that event and I was just so upset because of like how much time and effort and like, you know what I mean? Like I was just like shot down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you had this experience in like that, what was the club called that you had gone to for?
District 30.
Yeah. And you had probably a good time and people were encouraging you and like there was a different mindset around it. And then you go into this environment where you thought that you might've been embraced, but you weren't.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, I had went home and I was like, you know what? Like instead of like sulking about it and like being like upset about it, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start my own crew and we're going to be about positivity and inclusivity. And I'm never going to make someone feel like how I felt. So I literally went from dancing for 6 months to running my own crew. So
that's wild, dude.
Yeah. And you know, it's like, I was telling somebody else this the other day, like, I don't know what it's like to be in a crew as a member. Like I'm a member, but it's different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes I wish I could just wake up and be like, Daniel's announcements. Like all I got to do is this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I totally understand. So with that, like when you had that like emotional response to, you know, how that experience made you feel, what were like the pieces of SideShowShufflers coming together? You know what I mean? What was your first go at creating a crew? Who did you reach out to? Who were you asking about, you know, how the hell do I even do this? Creating the logo, creating the name. Like speak to us a little bit about like origins of SideShowShufflers, like nuts and bolts.
Yeah, of course. So that Hard Summer, that rave, I had ran into Max, Hype Ninja. I'll always know him as Hype Ninja in his Instagram, but I think he changed his Instagram to something else. But it says Ninja. He's in the group chat. You know who Max is. You've seen him. Of course you know Max. So he was at that meetup with me, and him and I were vibing. Like we were just getting it, having fun. And then like once all that started happening, he was like, "Dude, like let's get out of here." And I was like, "Bet."
Oh, you guys had a shared experience.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Got it.
So Max and I dipped out to another stage and we were just recording each other. Like it was just like love at first sight. Like him and I were just like, let's go.
Did we just become best friends?
Exactly. 100%.
That's dope.
And then that's how it all started. And, you know, immediately I had created such a bond with Max that next weekend, or I think it was 2 weeks later after that, I was texting him, and he lived in Arizona at the time. And I lived in Sacramento. And I was like, hey, I want to come visit you. He was like, come right now. And I was like, all right. Got in my car. I drove 12 hours to Arizona and to go visit him. And I was like, let's go. Like, kind of like with us, like, hey, like, let's do this. And I was in his apartment, and I pulled out some YouTube videos of some FTS videos on YouTube that I used to watch. And there was one specifically called Breathing Fire. I think it was with Donovan and Josh, FTS Nova and FTS Shoj. And they're just like ripping it. Like, and I'm like, hey, Max, like, look at this. And he was like fairly new to shuffling too. And we were just like, what the, like, there's a whole nother level. What is this? And we were just hooked. And then I can't remember if it was at that time I was at his place that I started, you know, hinting at creating a crew. But I think after that point, I had went back to Sacramento, and I was like, I'm really going to do this. So I started brainstorming logos like that, logos, and just like, you know, the nuts and bolts of everything. And my roommate at the time, Gabe, he was like a rapper, music producer. And I was like, hey, bro, like, I'm going to start a crew, like, help me come up with a name. And like, he used to play like a lot of Mac Dre when he was like cleaning his room or stuff like that. And there's parts in the songs of Mac Dre where he's like, skirt, skirt in the sideshow. And we were just like shooting off names like da-da-da and sideshow. And I was like, SideShowShufflers. Oh, that kind of has a ring to it. And then he was like, yeah, that's perfect. And then if you think about it, like when you go to an event, where do you normally see the shufflers?
Off to the side.
So it's like,
right.
It's like it's a show within a show. SideShowShufflers. So, and it was just like, from there, he had hit up this logo design. So this is the original logo for the SideShowShufflers.
Put it up to the camera, like put it up right there.
Right here. Can you see it like that?
Yeah.
So that's the original logo. I got that tatted on me like a few years later. And I was living at Sacramento at the time, and I had brought up the idea with Max, and we were just like, let's do it. So like, he's like partially a co-founder of Sideshow. Max blew it up in Arizona. I blew it up in Sacramento at the time. And then let's see, there was one day I woke up and I was like, you know what? I don't know if I want to live in Sacramento anymore. And I was like, I'm going to move to Hawaii. Just sporadic. Like I came home one day, I was like, I'm going to move to Hawaii. And my roommate was like, all right, let's go. We literally found an apartment. 2 weeks later, we dipped. But before we left, we had a going away party at District 30. I had a bunch of Sideshow shirts made. Max came to support. And then we had shirts made, had a big going away party. And then I flew to Hawaii that weekend. And then that's when I started like the Sideshow Hawaii chapter, like the beginning of 2017.
Got it.
Yeah.
So I want to backpedal a little bit. Even on that, like you said, you blew it up. Like you blew it up in Sacramento and then in Arizona as well. Like, what did that recruiting process look like? You know, was there a lot of interest from like those local shuffle communities? What kind of criteria were you working with?
Max and I were already known in our, communities of him in Arizona as shufflers, because we all kind of hang out with one another.
Yeah.
But then it's in the beginning stages of all that, it wasn't necessarily a recruiting process, but like, the vibe we got, the connections we made, the friendships we made with like-minded individuals who like to dance.
Got it.
So like if I were to go to an event and I create a bond with someone, because that does happen, like you're just like, where have you been all my life? Let's be friends. And obviously you have like a good, feel of like, this person would be a good representation of what we're trying to create. So it kind of just like rippled effect in our own areas. And we started gaining traction at the time. What other crews were there out there? I think it was like, obviously FTS, they'd been They've been around forever.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? There was an older crew, God's Mighty Heroes. They're not a crew anymore, but they were like real big back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, SideShow was like the new kid on the block.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like it gained a lot of traction real fast because it was like there weren't a lot of crews going on. You know what I mean? So it was like, you know, in the beginning stages of it, I was so excited just to make people feel welcomed. I was just like shouting people out, like on the SideShow page. Like I didn't really even have a recruiting process. Like I was like finding shufflers on Instagram and like reposting their video and being like, welcome to the crew. Like I had no idea like what crews were, like what it was about. I was just excited and I just wanted to make people feel good and included and just like I didn't even know like what I was doing and I just learned along the way. And what's funny is that you did a collab with Jordan Timbers. Yeah. So he was actually one of like the first 5 posts on the SideShow page when I first created it. I had reposted him like, "Hey, welcome to the crew." You know what I mean?
Was he ever a member? Like a straight member? Okay,
but that's what I'm saying. When all this started, like there was no structure to it. I was just like, oh, like this person, like you know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? Want to be in a crew? Like let's have fun. Like you know what I mean?
Got it. Yeah. Okay. No, that's that's it seems like that's very much the objective of SideShow. It's just like encouragement. Treat
people how you want to be treated.
Yep.
So like I was telling you earlier, it's like a lot of the decisions that I make is like, I'm like, oh, how would this make my crew feel? Or how would this make this person feel? Like, oh, that'd be really cool. Like if someone did that to me. So like, you know, I do it back to them because I know how good it feels. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Operating as like an empath.
Exactly.
You know? Absolutely. So you had mentioned that you moved to Hawaii. Like what kind of significance was that? Like in all of your moves, you know what I mean? Going from one local community to the other, you know, like were you promoting SideShow at that time and like really trying to spread that?
Yeah, I'm like I guess I'm just a sporadic, like unpredictable person, like a gypsy. Like I think what started the catalyst of me wanting to move to Hawaii, I had went on vacation there with my family like 8 months prior. And I was like out in the ocean. I was like, I'm going to move here one day. You know what I mean? Like I can't stay in the same place for too long. And then I had a bad day at work and I came home and I was like, I'm out of here. Like, do you want to come? And he was like, yeah. So, you know, SideShow started to gain traction in Sacramento, you know what I mean? And then Max in Arizona. I had moved to Hawaii. And then that's when I started to spread the SideShow vibe seed there with a few members who aren't in SideShow anymore, but they're still in Hawaii. And so Hawaii was a real growth period of time in my life when it came to shuffling, because like I was just there, I worked and I danced, and that's all I did. So like I don't know if you follow like Honolulu Shufflers with Maxine. None of that was going on back when in 2017, 2018.
Yeah, that was like 2020 that they started that up, right?
Right.
Like,
so like
fairly recent.
And like I'm a mainlander coming to their island. So it's like hard for like, you know, me to like get their community together because I'm not from there.
Exactly.
Like I'm just some California boy that just like moved there. And you know what I mean? It's not my place.
Yeah.
But I infiltrated the community there pretty fast. Like I was actually the first person to ever throw a shuffle competition in Hawaii with the prize of a Dream State ticket in the big room at this place called Hawaiian Bryant's. So like we had the DJ was aware of everything. We had a desk. When was this? This was 2017. And it was all filmed and all that. It was the first time anything like that was ever done in Hawaii.
Damn.
Yeah, it's actually on YouTube. I can't remember the name.
Send it over. We'll put it in the show notes.
Oh, I should have given it to you. It was Dream State Shuffle Competition. Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
We'll throw it in the show notes. Yeah, that'd be cool to check out. Okay, so like you're making a splash in Hawaii. You have SideShow. You know, as that like you're representing them essentially because like that's now your crew. Was there anything else in Hawaii, or like did you kind of move on from there, and like you wanted to you know jump to the next because you said you're a gypsy, you know what I mean? You want you don't feel comfortable in any given spot.
Hawaii was so So ultimately, like I don't want to get too deep into my life because I want to keep it on like the shuffling part, but like,
No, feel free. I mean, feel free to
a big part of why I went to Hawaii was because I wanted to move to Japan, and I figured like Hawaii was like halfway. So like when I was in Hawaii, I studied Japanese for like 2 years with my clients who were Japanese teachers, English teachers in Japan, and like on their off time they would live in Hawaii. So like I was exchanging sometimes personal training with Japanese lessons.
Got it.
And stuff like that, just because I was so fascinated with the culture, and like obviously anime is a big part of Japan culture. Just the like the respect that people have, how clean the country is, just how everything is just like maybe I was Japanese in a past life. You know what I mean? So that like, I have like all these goals and aspirations, where life takes me on this like weird path, and shuffling has kind of been there with me during that whole process of living life.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
But
so you had a side, kind of like a side mission when you were there as well.
Yeah. So what's funny is Max and I went to the very first EDC in Japan in 2017. Yeah, we were. It was a lot of fun.
Was it big? How many stages was that?
Oh man. Yeah, it was the whole event was big, but I wouldn't say like the amount of people that you would see at like EDC Vegas. No.
Okay.
Yeah, it was definitely like in its infant stages. I don't know if they've had another one since. I think they have.
Okay.
But yeah, Max and I had went there. We actually saw Pasquale there walking from one stage to another in Japan. It was so funny. I actually got a story about that if you want to hear it.
Send it.
So Max and I were walking from one stage to another, and Pasquale was walking with his wife. And we're like, oh, hey, like, just talking and like talking about, just life or whatever. We take a picture, and we kind of go do our own thing. And then after EDC, Max had a connection with someone who was actually working the event and got us into this like super fancy club in Tokyo. And we got to go in the VIP room, and all for free. Like, we're just like, oh, this is so exciting. Yeah. Like, we're in Japan and we're like going to here. And I walk into the room and I look to my left, and Pasquale's sitting there again. And he looked up at me like, I'm a big white guy in Japan. Obviously, he's going to remember me.
Yeah, that interaction.
You know what I mean?
Had, yeah.
So I look at him and I was like, what's up? And I slap his hand, and then we just like walk away. I didn't want to like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, what's up? Like, just like any other guy. And we're up there and we're like, oh yeah, this is fun. And we're like looking down on the crowd where everyone's like dancing and stuff like that. And we're like looking around, we're like, shit, like, let's go dance. So like, we literally were like, all right, we're out of here. We leave VIP. So like, we leave Pasquale, we leave all these people that, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
the hot shots.
You know what I mean? To go dance. And like, we're in the middle of the crowd just killing it. We look up and Pasquale's looking over, staring at us. Like, these kids just like passed up an opportunity to come bug me to go dance with like the crowd and the people. So that was like a big memory I haven't forgotten.
Speaks volumes, you know what I mean, about a shuffler's intent. It's
exactly.
Like, it's not always to be seen and to like just, be in the limelight. It's to go dance and enjoy the music and do all these things that like it's kind of like in our nature to do so. But dude, that's cool. That's cool. Japan, EDC Japan, like that's interesting. Yeah. But so you've been traveling a lot, throughout your journey, and part of that's been, for personal reasons. Part of it's been for, sideshow, reasons as well. What was your next stop? And also, I want to throw in there, like, this is a lot as a leader, right? You know what I mean? Moving around, doing all these things. I just want to know, was there any like turbulence within the crew during this time, like as you guys were building, as like kind of maybe any kind of growing pains
Not
involved?
Yet, but there definitely has been. And it's been a rough long road. Like we're 8 years now. Like, I have a personal goal of being active for at least a good 10 years, like 10 years of sideshow, a whole decade. You know what I mean? That's such a huge section of my life that has been geared toward this. You know what I mean? So I think that'll be exciting, making it to that point. But up until that point, no, not so much. But after that, life is so unpredictable. You know what I
100%.
mean? Like loved ones pass away, breakups, crazy stuff happens that kind of pulls you away from what you're passionate about. And let's see. So yeah, I had moved. So I told you I was a personal trainer before. I was a personal trainer in Hawaii. I don't know if I mentioned that.
But you're trading personal trainers for trainership for Japanese lessons.
Right. Yeah. So and then a good friend of mine called me and was like, "Hey," because like I was so good at sales. Like they called me the shark there because I was closing like $1,800 packs of personal training a day, and I get commission. So like I was like really killing it out there. And she was like, "Oh, I want you to come work for my mortgage company. So like do refinances, mortgage loans, stuff like that." And I was like, like maybe this is a sign that I should like, you know what I mean? I'm always following the signs of life. Like, should I do this? Should I not do this? And I went and worked for her company in San Diego for a bit and did like refinances and stuff like that. And I had already saved a bunch of money from personal training, and then combined with that gave me my jump in real estate.
Got it.
Well, we talked about that a little bit.
Not really. I didn't know you were a loan originator.
Yeah.
Okay.
I never told you that.
No.
Yeah. It was a very brief thing. I didn't do it for very long, but when I did do it, I was like really successful at it, and I just took that opportunity to make the money I needed to invest into real estate, and then it just kind of took off from there.
Got it. But, we could probably talk a little bit offline.
For sure. That. But like the shuffling, so I was in a relationship that kind of was like really rocky, that kind of threw me off my game. And then after that, 2019, 2020, once COVID started happening, that was like probably one of the hardest times of my life. Like I was so depressed. I had gained a bunch of weight. I was almost 300 pounds. Like
not in a good way.
Not in a good way, no. Like I couldn't go outside. And like a lot of people that I've talked to experienced this during those times. Like they just were so out of touch with life themselves. They didn't know what to do. I was going through it. Like my grandma had, there's everything that could go wrong in a person's life was going wrong in my life. And it's like, it sucks because as a leader, it doesn't matter what the excuse is. Like I can't call everyone up and be like, "Hey, this is what I could," but it's just like, you don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
We're taking a hiatus or
Right. Like oh yeah. I took a hiatus for a couple of years, 2018, 2019 ish, 2020.
Was this all just, if we can get a little bit personal?
Yeah.
Was this all kind of like the relationship, or was there anything else going on in your life? Like, was the fire for shuffling kind of dimming, or, like what was going on?
I was just constantly being put in situations where like I couldn't fully 100% immerse myself in the dance. And like, I'm the type of person that like, I'm 100% or nothing at all.
Yeah.
So like when you're going through like trials and tribulations of life, like you have all this stress. The last thing you want to do is go practice.
Yeah.
And then you go for what? And then you just go down the spiral of just like negative thought that like, it's taken me, a good amount of time to like retrain my brain to not go down that road of negativity mentally again. You know what I mean? So yeah, during that time, I was kind of distanced from the crew, and Max kind of took things over for me a bit. He held it down for me for sure. And then once I was in a better spot mentally and physically, and just like, I started coming, and that happens, you know what I mean? It might happen with you. It happens with a lot of people. Like they get married, people have kids, they're working 12-hour days. You know what I mean? It's just life. It's understandable. So like, I can't,
beat yourself up over it.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Resent
like,
yourself for that period of time.
Like I've told you guys, like, I want this to be a fun, relaxed experience that isn't adding more stress to the stressful life that you already have.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like I want to hold us to a certain standard, like as you would with anything else, because I want us to be successful. But at the same time, like I get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not a big deal.
Yeah, you have to be kind of like understanding of, personal situations like that. And like, it's probably good that you had that kind of experience for yourself,
right?
Because then you can be more empathetic towards the individuals who might be,
right.
experiencing
Right. Yeah. And the
that
crew
as well.
definitely took a hit without me being there. You know what I mean? To kind of like keep things in check. And you know how organized I like to be with the crew and the messages and the task and the projects that I want you guys to stay active. And, I'm human. Like I make mistakes. Like I've said things that, that I wanted to happen that didn't happen. You know what I mean? Just like, but I've always led with love and I've always wanted the best for everybody. And that's all I really could have done during that, damaging part of my life that I was going through.
Yeah.
But I'm just thankful that, a lot of the other members like pulled their own weight while I was going through that little personal hiccup.
Yeah.
But right now I feel like the whole energy and vibe and status of the crew that we have right now is like the best it's ever been. So I'm super happy where we're at right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can attest to that. Like we're all pretty engaged. We're all excited to participate. We got ShuffleCon coming in June, and behind FTS, of course, because this is their show. Sideshow will be showing up in pretty good attendance. So
I'm really hoping we come through, man.
Yeah, I think we will. We will. Yeah, for sure.
Because it's like we're making history. You know what I mean? You can always 100%. Go to another whatever event. You know what I mean? Like this is going to be the first one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's super exciting. Like come to represent your crew. Talk about the crew. So
showcase for it.
Yeah, of course.
The one thing I wanted to just ask you about when you did return from that that personal bout that you were having.
Yeah.
How was your head screwed on? Like what objectives did you have for the crew? Like where did you see? Is that when you made that kind of promise to yourself or goal or milestone that you would take it to like 10 years and like you
right.
Like what did that look like? What did you want for Sideshow at that time?
Yeah, so I had so many, like if I were to just quit, like I'm just not the type of person that just like to do that. You know what I mean? Like it would just like haunt me.
It wouldn't
like,
sit right.
You know what I mean? I just like I've always had certain goals and milestones, not just for myself as a person, as a shuffler, but for the crew too. And just, it all comes back to just creating memories. Like I want to be able to look back on this when I have kids or grandkids or whatever, like, hey, this is what I did. Like back in the day, the crew, the videos, the events, you know what I mean? Creating memories, creating friendships.
Yeah.
And just looking back on it and just being like, wow, like, we did something substantial.
Yeah. You're a part of something.
Exactly.
Bigger than yourself. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Everyone wants to be a part of something. It doesn't matter what it is. It always feels good to be a part of something bigger than yourself and be around like-minded individuals that has the same mindset. And back to what we were saying about like more of the core values of Sideshow is just like treat people how you want to be treated and just be that positive outlet. And like the dim world that we live in sometimes, like our world's crazy right now.
Yeah. 100%.
Like what, like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And already being in a scene that has a reputation of plur, and like a motto of Sideshow back in the day was plur, like bringing plur back to shuffling. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, it's not that deep. Like we're listening to Above and Beyond right now, and you're stomping in my face, acting all aggressive. Like, relax, dude. Like,
yeah.
It's not that deep.
I love what you just said because we do live in a crazy world. And I think a lot of people get overwhelmed by that crazy world. And, maybe they want to fix that world by having some kind of strong political opinion or being radicalized one way or another. And but I think the way that we remedy this crazy world is on a very local level, on a very, very just small community type of level. Like, what can I do today to bring us all closer, rather.
Yeah.
So that we can see how much we're alike, not how much we're different from one another.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And just you doing this for Sideshow, all these small communities that are popping up for shuffling, that's what's helping the world right now. You know what I mean? And like I'm placing shuffling in front of that, but it doesn't matter what you do. If you create a group that forms around an interest, and a little bit of I always say a little bit of organization goes a long way.
Yeah.
You can connect people in a meaningful way, and now you're less likely to be spiteful of one another, or to find the differences between one another and make someone your adversary.
Right.
You're less likely to do that, and the more that we can just come together and get behind, even though we might have our differences in opinion,
Right.
like the more that we can come together and just know that, hey, I love this music, so do you. I love this dance, so do you. And then there's probably other things that we can connect on. That is going to help us. That's going to help us in this crazy world. Right. You know what I mean?
And I got to say, like, the overall vibe that I get in the community now than back then is completely different.
How so?
More positive.
Okay.
More encouraging.
What do you think that's about? Like, how do you think that?
Well, I'd like to think Sideshow had a huge play in that, to be honest. Because, like, dude, like, I'm not going to name any names, but I've been in situations at undergrounds where, like, some of these people are getting physical with me. Like, they're drunk or, like, hitting me. And, like, I just kill them with kindness.
Other shufflers?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, as a leader, like, my experiences in the community are going to be different than other people. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like, I got a target on my back to other people. Like, they got, you know, oh, he's the leader, huh? He's not that good. Or, like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Let me show him. And I'm just, like, smiling, like, hey, like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's not your role to be the best shuffler.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. We all have a role to play in a crew. Like, my role just happens to be, you know, the leader. Yeah. And that's the thing. I don't like even calling myself a leader. Like, we are all leaders in our own right. Like, this crew is just as much yours as it is mine. And I've said that multiple times. Like I'm not selfish. Like, I want people to feel like they have just as much influence. Like, obviously, like, I'm going to have some structure and, like, things to say, but I'm not shutting anybody out.
Yeah. Maybe some guardrails every once in a while.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. No, definitely understood. And yeah, I think it's important that we have more of these, you know, crews, collectives that are a force for good in the shuffle community.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What do you think is the difference between a collective and a crew?
Collective I think, and chime in on this, but, like, my opinion is a crew will typically have some kind of obligation or criteria for their members to gain access to that crew, and then to be familiar with everyone, I think, and then also having a direct line of communication between everyone, I think, is important for a crew. And then but I think that's the only, like, exclusive part of a crew, because then you can very much be inclusive with who can dance with you. You know what I mean? Who the invitations are, all that stuff. I think a collective is less structured, where you know, there's open invites all the time. Yes, maybe there might be some direct communication between core members of that collective, maybe perhaps the organizers, or just the members who have been around the block, but there's never like a criteria set for who can really be a part of that core group or whatever. But both have mission statements and both have objectives that they're trying to fulfill. What is your opinion about that?
I just wanted to, because, like, to the average person, like, they might not know what the difference is. They all wear shirts.
Do you think I described it well? Or
no,
do you
yeah.
think, okay.
Just to expand on that, it's just another level of, like, responsibility and another standard that you have to uphold. But yeah, there's levels to this. Like, you have the collective that's just kind of like the average goer that's just now getting their feet wet in the scene, and it's a place to go and feel welcomed. Yeah. And then you have those individuals that are like, hey, like, I want to get good at this. And they just have another level of just overall, like, motivation to get better. And it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And I think that's a good distinguishing mark of, like, the difference between the two.
Okay. Yeah. And I also think that, like, collectives might be more broad, you know what I mean? Whereas, like, if you're in a part of a shuffle crew, probably the responsibility that you have is that you at least know how to shuffle, you know what I mean? But like, in a collective, if it's like, even if it's like a shuffle collective, maybe you just have maybe you have people who don't shuffle, but they DJ, you know what I mean? And they come to the events and like they throw down music for you. Or you have flow artists that love the music that you play, love shufflers too, and they can be a part of it, but they don't know how to shuffle. Right. Like that sort of thing. Maybe there's a broader aspect of a collective versus like a shuffle crew. You think that's fair? A fair assessment?
For sure.
Okay, got it. So as for Sideshow and where we are now, I know you said you had that 10-year mark, but like what do you feel is, you know, the purpose of Sideshow at this moment and like where you want to take it?
Yeah, so I mean ultimately, like I said, like treat people how you want to be treated. It's this, I always view it as like, I'll use this example. Like imagine like you go to an NFL football game with a big stadium and your favorite quarterback is Tom Brady. And at this game, you get to go play catch with Tom Brady in front of thousands of people. You know what I mean? Now, how would that make you feel if not only were you allowed to go dance with or play football with him, but you're throwing the ball and Tom Brady goes, dang, like you got a nice arm.
Yeah, it's a tight spiral.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, on this next one, try doing this. And you're like, okay, cool. And then after the game, he's like, hey, you want to come, you know, fly to Denver at my my place? You know what I mean? It's like shuffling at big, massive events like that. Like what other professional, you know, sport where you can actually go interact with these people? Like there are some of the best shufflers in the world. We have the opportunity to go hang out with them.
Yeah.
And like, there's no security guards or whatever. You get to see it firsthand in person. So imagine how you would feel if like you see this person, they're killing it. They got a triangle on their back and they look at you, you're like, let's go. Like, you know what I mean? You feel welcomed. You feel appreciated. You're getting tips, you're getting this, you're getting that. And you're just like having a great time without like that, like, you know, feeling of being made fun of or just being shunned in a way or whatever.
Or overly scrutinized for your skill set or lack thereof. Or yeah, absolutely, man. No, that's amazing. Is there anything else in store for Sideshow? I know we're going to be attending that ShuffleCon. There's a lot of us battling. I don't know. I don't think I will be a part of like the showcase, but I'm sure, you know, there's some pretty sick dancers within us that are, you know,
I mean, the sky's the limit, dude. It's like, I'm at a point now in my life where I'm going to follow the energy. Like there's people in the crew that aren't very active. They're not very active in the chat. And, you know, a big part of why we had the last tryout was to plant more seeds in, like, we'll use Joey for an example. Salami Sosa, you know his Instagram, Joey. He's battling. He was the only member in Sideshow in San Diego at the time. And then in Colorado, it was just Austin. And then Masaki, Hawaii / Sacramento. So like I wanted to create little mini pockets of sideshows in each area so that you had your own community of sideshow with Austin and Leanna, and then Joey with Sed and Kale and, you know, all the other members.
Yeah, the chapters, like the local chapters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But so like obviously there's like I've been asked like, oh, why isn't like some of the older members, why aren't they very active in the chat? And the answer is really simple. It's like some of these people were with me 2, 4, 6, 8 years ago. They already left their mark on the crew. You know what I mean? They were so active in the chat. They posted every day.
Yeah.
And like it got to a point where it's like we're maxed out. You know what I mean? It's kind of time to let people in who are going to cherish it and love it and be excited about it just as much as I was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because people change. You know what I mean? Like you're so like on one of my old Instagram, I was posting every day. You know what I mean? Like I put my work in, I put my time in. Now I'm at a point now where I'm kind of just managing things. But that's why it's important to get new blood in and fresh energy into the crew so that you and, you know, other new members in the crew can leave their mark. You know what I mean?
And then it's like when you go into that environment where, you know, maybe the veterans aren't speaking up as much. That can be a good thing because it can
but I feel
our voices can be heard. You know what I mean?
But I feel like some of you guys are kind of just like, oh, why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they doing that? So I wanted to give like an explanation. It's like, you know, we've been doing this for so long. Like, you know, it's important that like you have your turn to leave your mark. So that 4 years from now, you go scroll on the Sideshow page and you've left your mark on that page.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Absolutely. No, that makes complete sense. And I haven't really questioned that to be honest, but maybe others have. So I appreciate that explanation for it. But I do like how receptive and encouraging you are, and then the a lot of the OGs of Sideshow are with additional ideas, and and people are enthusiastic about it. Like the new members have been making their own gear. Like,
I love it.
Yeah. It's so,
and that's
so
what
cool.
I try to tell you guys. Like, I'm only one person. Like, I'm not going to have all the answers for you. I will do my best. Like, I'm there. Like, if one of you guys tag the page, I repost it. Yeah. One of you guys do this, I'm there. I'm always sending you guys messages. It's the little things. Like, and it's more than just the group chat, like reaching out to you guys on an individual level, like reaching out to the members who are battling, like, hey, I'm proud of you. Like, that would mean so much if that was done to me. You know what I mean? So like a little encouragement, like, hey, like, you're doing repping Sideshow, I'm super proud of you. Like, just doing the battles within itself is a testament to your courage. Yep. Putting yourself 100%. Out there like that. I haven't done it. You know what I mean? Like, you guys are doing, I'm super proud of you guys. You know what I mean? Like, doing what a leader should be doing. And I really try to do my best.
That's awesome, man. No, and thank you. You are doing a great job. And that's not just me. Like, I've confided in other members. And all of them say that,
appreciate that.
You're a force for good, like within this crew. So no, I mean that.
Appreciate
for sure. But with that, man, it's been great talking to you thus far. I do want to get to the last segment of the show, if that's okay with you. So this is the world famous Final Five. And so I'm going to ask you 5 questions that I ask, all the guests on the show, and we'll see how yours stack up. So the first one is what your favorite musical genre is.
Trance.
Trance all the way?
Dude, I'm a freaking trance head. Like the real... vocal, progressive, like I'm gonna cry type trance. And then obviously I love all types of trance, but like trance is just my number one go-to for sure. Got
it. So you like to be in your feels, but you also like that, like hard trance as well.
It's like my car driving music. Yeah.
Got it. Awesome, man. Well, there was no surprise that I saw you at Dream State then. You going again this year?
It depends. Like, it depends on you guys. Like I said, like I'm at a point where I'm following the energy. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing this. I do it for you guys. You know what I mean? So like, if we can get a good number of us going to a certain event, like I'm going to come support you guys. Like I told you earlier, one of my favorite things to do is kind of just step back and watch you guys all dance with the shirts on. I'm like, super.
You kids.
Super like proud dad moment. You know what I mean? But we'll see. We'll see. But there was one thing I wanted to talk about real quick, if that's okay.
No, send it. Yeah.
About like the future of Sideshow. Like, I'm hoping that one day, like after my 10-year mark, I can find someone to pass the torch off to, because that's important. Like, I don't want Sideshow just to die with me. You know what I mean? Yep. So like, to whoever's listening out there who have any inspirations or aspire to be in a crew or even run a crew, you know what I mean? Now's your chance. Planting the seed out there. But yeah, I just like, that would be so cool. Like when I'm in, cause like, dude, it's all for the love of the music, right? Yeah. Like I'm not going to stop going to events. Like in my 40s, I'm sure like my dad, for example, he loves like Metallica and Led Zeppelin, and he still goes to concerts and he's in his 50s. You know what I mean? I can't see why I wouldn't go to do something I love. But to imagine going to a rave and seeing what I created and the leader of that now running things, having things would just be like the best thing ever. So hopefully, in the next, and the future, we'll just say the future.
You're not hasty.
No, not anytime soon. But like, it would be irresponsible of me not to start thinking about that.
100%.
Like life is so unpredictable. I could freaking get ran over by a car, or break my leg and not be able to, you know what I mean? There's so many factors. So that's something that I think about a lot. And hopefully I can find the right person to pass the torch off to.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like if you're not thinking about the sustainability of like this ecosystem that you've created, then it'd be, you might find yourself one day like, I want to hand off the torch now, but didn't do the necessary actions to like find the right person, because I think you do need the right person to do that. The individual who is competent and capable of all aspects of running a crew.
Right.
And
it's like a full-time job.
It's not for everyone. Yeah, it's not for everyone. I don't even run one, or I just see I see you. I see our leader of my SideShowShufflers, Dee, and like, damn, like y'all are built different. So I definitely think it takes a special person to do that. And just like the health and the fabric of that small relational network that is a crew or is a collective or is a community, it can really be affected by the decision making of one person. It really can. So, and that
can make or break. Like, I think we spoke on this a little bit, like one wrong move or one word or whatever wrong decision could be the downfall of something big, and but you also mentioned like that's why you need to have kind of like your counsel, and people who you can confide in, and for sure
like bounce things off of a sounding board of some sort to like be able to make those big decisions and things like that, and maybe the gaps of your own thinking or decision making knowledge, people can kind of fill you in, like and trust them, of course. So no, very cool. No, thank you for sharing that, the future of Sideshow. But I can get on to the next question. What is your favorite place to dance?
Favorite place to dance. My favorite places to dance are at home, and like how like when you come home from an event, and you have some friends over. You know what I mean? You're in your living room and just not a care in the world. That's like some of my best, like real intimate settings. Are my favorite places to dance. Especially with people that I care about.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Is there any kind of like floors you're looking for, anything like that? Or is it just kind of like that environment, like good friends in
obviously
place?
The environment is everything, because it doesn't really, unless I'm shuffling on rocks, but you know what I mean? Like when you're really feeling it, it doesn't matter like where you're still going to go. True. You know what I mean?
Got it. Tracking. All right, next. What is your favorite set, show, or festival attended?
It was EDC 2018, I think. It was a 7-line set, and they just went ham on the fireworks too. It was like the most craziest thing I've ever seen, and it was when 7 Lines was playing a lot of psytrance too. They started playing more psytrance. Everyone's like, "This is 7 Lines. What's going on?"
Cusp and what's the other song?
Yes. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, dude, they throw down. Like,
so he was like, throws down. He was playing psytrance, and the fireworks were going off, and I was just like, "Oh my god, this is amazing right now!" Like that was like, how there's certain parts of an event that just imprint in your brain, and you never forget. It's definitely one of them.
Oh, that's sick, man. Was that Las Vegas?
Yes.
Okay. So they had the whole production going.
Yeah.
I love 7 Lines, by the way, so that resonates. What is your next question? What is your favorite book?
So I used to read a lot, but a book that I'm reading right now is called Your Next 5 Moves. Okay. It's like a business strategy book. Because like just like in business, in life too, like I'm always trying to think of 5 steps ahead. Like if this happens, then I got this. If this happens with the crew or my personal life or whatever, I'm always prepared of whatever life's going to bring. So it's a good one. I'll send it to you after this.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. We'll put that in the show notes as well. Definitely interested in that. Okay, for the last question, if you could put any message on the main stage production of a large festival, think EDC Las Vegas or like Tomorrowland, what would that message say? There'd be tens of thousands of people viewing it.
Tens of thousands of people, huh? Yeah, so honestly, like back to the whole motto of Sideshow, always treat people how you want to be treated, with love and kindness, and just like try and emulate like what it means to be a good person. Like you can do both. You can do what you're passionate about and be nice about it at the same time. But obviously we're all on our own journey of life, and sometimes takes a little longer for other people to destroy the ego than others. Yeah,
100%.
But I think that's it.
Okay, so like on the screen, like what exactly would it be?
That doesn't count. Treat people how you want to be treated.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Wait. Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Yeah,
got it. All right.
Yeah.
No, treat people the way you want to be treated. The golden rule.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Understood. Awesome, man. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
that.
Of course.
So with that, we're done with those questions, and I think we're wrapping up. But is there anything else that you want to share with the listeners? Anything that you had for us that, or maybe a part of Sideshow or the journey of Sideshow, your own personal journey that you'd like to share with the listeners?
I guess just don't take things so serious. You know what I mean? Like life, like I said, life is unpredictable. You know what I mean? Just love, be loved, have fun with it. It's not that deep. Like we're here for the love of the music. Like there's really no sense in, bringing negativity in our scene. We've already have enough negativity going on in the world.
Just people being people.
You know what I mean? Like there's no one out here. There's no one out here making millions of dollars being a shuffler. You know what I mean? Like we're here for the love of the music. We're here to have fun. And sometimes people get too wrapped up in their own, stuff.
Yeah.
And they start to project that negativity to other people. But just have fun with it. We're here to have fun. We're here for the music. And I just feel blessed, and everyone should feel blessed that we're able to express ourselves through the music that we do love through shuffling.
Yeah.
Like I can't even imagine like being at a rave or even listening to this music and not being able to dance to it. You know what I mean? Like I'm constantly dancing in my head. So I just feel lucky. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. It's such a blessing that we were able to do that, and that we have able, healthy bodies that can do that as well. You know what I mean?
And it's like, how do you want to be remembered? Like, do you want to be remembered as that amazing shuffler that was, an asshole? Or do you want to be remembered as that, positive person? Like when you look back, like, hey, Patty, he's a good dude.
Yeah.
Like, and he's great at shuffling. You know what I mean?
Like, or even if I wasn't good at shuffling,
right?
He was just a good dude in the scene, like
right. Because like imagine like what if you get hurt?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, and you're not a shuffler anymore. You can't shuffle anymore. Then what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What are you now?
People look at you as a human being at that point versus like any kind of clouding of judgment that they might have had based off of how you performed as a shuffler. You know what I mean? And yeah, you're totally right, man. I think it's a good thing in some aspects to identify as a shuffler, but don't let that manipulate your ego in a way that and now becomes toxic, and that
don't get me wrong, like I feel like that little bit of negativity pushes people to be better.
Yeah. Like, the devil and the angel on your shoulder.
Like, screw this guy. I'll show him what's up. Like, I get that. But like, a big part of being in Sideshow is doing it in a way that isn't disrespectful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a way to do it that's positive. You know what I mean? You don't have to be an asshole about it. Like you can be positive and still get the message across.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, but yeah,
I'm right there with you. Like whenever I roll up, or when let's say at Dream State, when I saw all the Sideshow homies and we would roll up to a stage, you know what I mean? Like it was a cool feeling. Like we're about to get after it. It was that positive feeling of I'm a part of this. Like I'm a shuffler.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you're emitting this good energy. Same thing with like the Mile High Shufflers. When we go to a show and I'm rolling up with all the homies, it's like a small league of superheroes, right?
Yeah.
And it's like we are. And then when we start doing our thing, you see that we're emitting good vibrations.
Right.
And you have people who are cheering us on. You have people who are encouraging us. You have people who are coming up and being like, I want to do what you guys do.
Right.
That sort of thing. I think that is like the positive side
right.
of shuffling. And it's like at no point do we ever say like, nah, you can't dance with us.
Right.
Or nah, like I'm not going to teach you. At least like there's always a cap to it. Like
right.
5 minutes, I'll show you how to do a running man, but like you're not going to learn here.
Because there's people out there that like how I said earlier, like everyone's got to have something. There's people out there that don't have
and they're yearning
something,
for it,
and they're looking for it,
Yeah.
and they're on this journey of like, what do I do? Hey, do you want to go to this rave? Okay, you go to the rave and then you see that, and that could
like
be
you, like
right.
you.
That could be that next person's something.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But like now imagine if I had that experience at Hard Summer and I took it in a negative way.
Yeah.
Sideshow never would have been created. None of this would have happened. You know what I mean? So yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Yeah, 100%. I think we should all be a force for good and be very inclusive when we go out and do our thing, and not be the people who are just dancing in the corner, don't want to talk to anyone.
Right, the black and the white, the yin and the yang. Yeah. Like you can do it both. Like you can be a great shuffler and be a great person too.
Absolutely, man. Well said. Thank you. This has been a great conversation, dude. I'm sure this will resonate with like a lot of the audience, especially with our crew who maybe hasn't heard a lot of like the origin stories. I think you do a great job at explaining our history with some of like the indoctrinal videos and things that you had for us when we first got in. But perhaps we elaborated on a lot of stuff during this conversation. Where can people connect with you? And if they want to reach out and maybe hear more about Sideshow, maybe hear more about your story as well, what's the best means for them to
you can always DM me at SideShowShufflers. And then my personal Instagram is 11powerhouse11. And like we were speaking earlier about like the different phases of life. Like I'm at a point now where I haven't posted as much on my personal page because I don't feel like, bleeding different, because I'm a jack of all trades, right? Like I do a lot of different stuff. And I felt like it was time for me to compartmentalize my shuffling, my personal life, and everything else. So I had created a new Instagram called Dino_chamber, where I'm going to be posting a lot of my shuffling content, and then my Powerhouse page just personal. And then obviously I run the Sideshow page as well.
Got it. Okay.
So any of those three, I'm there.
Multiple avenues. Yeah. Understood. Awesome. Dude, this was so much fun.
Thank you for having me.
It was a pleasure having you. And
how long are we on now?
Oh, this was hour and 25.
Oh, nice. So, not too bad.
Yeah. But dude, I just want to once again just praise you for your leadership in Sideshow. The fact that you flew out here to Denver to not just do the podcast, but to spend time with me and my local community as well. It means a lot. I'm like getting like teary because of it.
Yeah.
Because I love this family here, and just the fact that you can share this experience with me, it does mean a lot.
Of course.
And you're a true leader because of it, dude.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's get to the day.
Let's do it.
Thank you for listening to the Shuffle Curious podcast. I hope you've enjoyed the show so far. We are past the launch, and I'm so appreciative of the support that the show has received. You guys have really stepped up in a huge way, and I'm eternally grateful for that. I know this is a big ask due to the show just starting, and it's very much in its infancy, but any and all support would really be amazing from you guys. So I just wanted to come on and list a couple ways that you guys can help out the podcast moving forward. So first and foremost, subscribing to the YouTube channel would be a huge help. Among, also sharing and following the show on other social media platforms, such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, but in particular, YouTube will really help increase the visibility of the show, and it can help to reach a wider audience as well. In addition to this, leaving a review on anywhere where podcasts are distributed, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, can really leave a positive impression on new listeners, and it will help them discover the podcast more readily. Also, engaging with the podcast, so leaving comments, participating in social media discussions, and just anything that would really help build a community around the podcast would be of great assistance. And please feel free, DM me my personal Instagram at Patty Creates, or the show's Instagram at the Shuffle Curious Podcast, with the spaces being underscores. I would love to hear any feedback, any ideas, any discourse around the show. It would be an honor to hear you guys out and implement some of the ideas and the feedback that you guys have for me. Also,
donating to the podcast directly or purchasing a Shuffle Curious shirt would help out a lot. There's a lot of time, there's a lot of energy, and unfortunately money that goes into the podcast, and it will continue to go into the podcast. So let's just get one thing straight here. It's really been a complete joy doing the show, and no matter how much or how little monetary assistance the show receives, we'll still be performing the mission of bringing the Shuffle community together. But with a little bit of help, I'll be able to travel more for these interviews, buy better equipment, be able to compensate all the amazing people who have made the show a reality and have volunteered their time, things of that nature. So buying a shirt would be much more than buying a shirt. And I don't know if you guys realize, but if I ever saw someone at a festival wearing a Shuffle Curious podcast shirt, you would be my best friend in a huge way. I'd love to see it, and I'd give you a big bear hug. So you can purchase these shirts on the Instagram bio of the show, also the show's website, and then I'll have links in the show notes as well. As for the donation, just please, send me a DM if you feel inclined to donate to the show. I will definitely entertain that, and if you're so inclined, that would be absolutely amazing. I'm not going to create a button for donating to the show or GoFundMe or anything like that. It would just be a conversation between you and I. So, and I thank you for that consideration. But lastly, you guys have supported the show just by listening. Also listening to this whole outro, that's awesome. You guys rule for doing that. And I just cannot understate my appreciation for all of you guys, for being a part of this crazy ride that it's been so far. So without further ado, I wanted to get on, give you guys a couple of ways that you can support. You can run with as many or as little of them as you would like, but I thank you, regardless for your listenership and support. So with that, I'm going to get out of here. Please get out there and dance, stay curious, and I will see you in the next episode, friend.